We have another docu-series, and from the beginning, I am seeing that power, privilege, those are the things that get you far in life. You can be a menace, you can ruin people's lives, and shame does not have to exist because you know what does exist? Money, power, and privilege. Now, watching this docu-series from a therapist perspective, we're gonna have to get into it because what was this? What was the point? What was the point of him sitting there and telling his story? All right. But if you're new here, I'm Denise Brady. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and we recap, discuss, analyze pop culture, mental health, docu-series, documentaries, and reality TV. So make sure you stick around, turn on the notification bell. You never want to miss any of my videos. Okay. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen has gotten away with so much for so long because of the charisma, the charm of his personality. And even here, sitting, he says 7 years sober, and I believe him being celibate 10 years. For some people, have forgotten about the past. But here he is chugging it up with no sense of remorse, being apologetic, thinking about all the lives he probably ruined, all the hurt he has left behind because he doesn't have to. He does not have to because of power and privilege. And over again, we have seen throughout the world media that people like Charlie Sheen will always get ahead. And the person who's out there trying to do the right thing, keep relationships, do no harm, do things the right way, doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, this is what gets ahead. Now I watched this documentary, and from the beginning, him sitting here, the charm, the charisma, reminding people this is the Charlie Sheen some people fall in love with. This is a Charlie Sheen some people get got by. And they're sitting somewhere heartbroken, depressed, hurt, because now their trauma has become a selling point. Their trauma is part of this documentary. Their trauma doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a comeback. Is it a rebrand? No. Because the same brain that worked all those years ago to get him started, that bad boy, the money, him having celebrity relatives, all that's at the forefront. And this smile gets you in the door, you know, makes you do things. Oh, just come in. Have a cup of coffee. Okay. Come on into my condo. Because I'm about to fuck your life up. Okay. And I'm not going to have any repercussions. Now, at the beginning of this documentary, it talks about him being so high, so intoxicated, but flying a plane. Yeah, y'all heard that right. The beginning scene is about him being on a plane with a bunch of other people, the tension between that wife, because we know he got multiple wives. The tension being between that wife was palpable. So he decided, let me take some drinks to the head real quick. About 5 of them little shot bottles. And then because people are so enthralled by his charm, charisma, him being a superstar at that time, this right here shows you how charm and charisma get people. The pilot and the co-pilot are like, hey, come on in. We want to take some pictures with you. And Charlie is like, once again, intoxicated out of his mind. Okay, well, wouldn't it be cool if I took a picture with your hat? Now, you know what would be cooler? If I sat in your seat. Yeah. Give me the hat and let me sit in your seat. You know what might be cooler? You know what? If I just started flying the plane. And these dum-dums, okay. Which is so much like the audience, the media, the people during the 90s, 80s, who were just like, okay, yes, you're Charlie Sheen. You're the son of Martin Sheen. Okay. Your family is big time. So, of course, you can fly this plane, even though you've never been a pilot. And so he starts flying this plane with so many people's lives in jeopardy. And that first scene to me is this replica a replication of just how over these years of him being famous, he has had so many people's lives in his hands and been able to get away with shit the most random, regular smegular person, baby, would never be able to do. Okay, would never be able to do. And I think, as I always say in my videos, I want shame to come back, but I feel like Charlie Sheen has never had to have shame. Having parents who were in Hollywood, his father, having parents who were nudists, being 5 years old, walking out, and your mama naked in the kitchen, your daddy naked in the kitchen, your daddy off somewhere in his own intoxicated, fueled, um, mental state that ain't there. And as a child seeing this, you realize, oh, that gets attention. I want to be just like my father. My brother also goes into Hollywood, and I want to be like him too. Because I see that Hollywood gives attention and that feeds the ego. And Charlie Sheen is somebody who is driven by ego. And over again, we have seen through different incidents because the documentary really didn't give us anything new. Okay. Nothing new. It just glossed over the problems, the little tantrums he had. It really put this narrative that they were smaller than what they really were. That the wives he put through trauma, the DB, his behavior constantly has been praised because he can do no wrong. He can make mistakes. Oh, here's a movie deal. Here's 2.5 Men. And here's Platoon. The one movie that skyrocketed his career and told him also, oh, I can show up intoxicated, late. I can film these scenes under the influence. And I get rewarded by Hollywood, by media. Oh, I ain't gotta change. And so he continues on about going through all these different incidents. Heidi Fleiss, who is not aging very well. Okay. But how his bad boy antics get rewarded. He really hasn't lost much. His friends took beside him. Shit, somehow Chris Tucker was in this. One of two Black people. Okay. And one of his daughters was also in this. But noticeably absent was family. Okay. Not all his brothers were in this. His sister wasn't in this. Emilio and Martin did not want to be a part of this documentary. Maybe they have the foresight to know, like, what is this we're doing? Do we want to be involved in a rehash of all the problematic, menacing behavior that you have been involved in? Like, we love you unconditionally. Do your thing. But why? Why? And I remember the 90s when he did the baseball movie Wild Thing. That was such a big thing. Wild Thing. Mm-mm, you make my heart sing. Yeah, I'm showing my age. Okay. And then I also remember, flash forward to 2.5 Men, all the chaos that he created during that time. And you see how his co-star, to me, still seems kind of traumatized from that whole thing. Okay. But there is no remorse throughout this documentary because of power and privilege. He doesn't have to be remorseful. He doesn't have to take accountability because you know what? A camera crew will show up in a diner and put a bunch of money behind him to help him with a comeback. because that's what this is all about. It's not a rebrand. And now most people, when they come up and they're trying to um, bring back their career, some people try and do a rebrand. But Charlie Sheen ain't gotta do that because there are still people from the 90s, maybe from the early 2000s who fell in love with Two and a Half Men, that maybe if he did a reboot, another reboot, okay? Because then towards the end, like, what's the guy from Punk? Didn't he take over towards the end? Or maybe I'm getting it wrong, but I do remember he got let go from that show because of all his behaviors. And then I think Ashton Kutcher took over. So it might be another rebrand. But even the little boy from that show, he gone. He was traumatized about Hollywood and the things he probably witnessed and seen that. He is now an adult living off the money. That after that show, he left Hollywood. Charlie Sheen has left a trail of hurt, disaster because of his behavior. And I think this docu-series, two-part docu-series, tries to humanize him. And some people are gonna fall for the bullshit because some people enjoy this man. They forget that he was HIV positive, being involved intimately with men, doing drugs, probably spreading not just trauma and hurt, but maybe some of that disease. And I wonder really, will we ever really know how many victims there really are out there? And how the world shows us over and over again that as long as you got money, as long as you have power, privilege is knocking at the door. Okay? Is knocking at the door. Now, even looking at this screenshot, hey, I'm just a regular old guy in a diner drinking coffee, telling my story, right? The same Charlie Sheen you loved, I'm back. I've been sober for 7 years. I've been celibate, but have I been working on myself? Hmm. Some of y'all might feel like this is a narcissist in his element and that he could never really be held accountable because the charm, the charisma, the manipulation, okay? But all of the assaults, the overdoses, the DV, the ex-wives. I remember, his ex-wife, not the last one, okay, but the one before, her 911 calls being released, them both being on substances. And I think he had twins with that one, I can't remember. But, them having young kids going through all the DB and just being intoxicated. Maybe he shares his real remorse and accountability with a therapist. Hopefully. And hopefully he got a good one who's holding him accountable, who's making him see that, Charlie, you got some work to do. But once again, power, privilege, and her getting a check or him getting a check, I don't know about that. Okay. But is Charlie trying to make a comeback? Yes. Will he be rewarded? Yes. Why? Because of power and privilege. And this was a two-part docu-series on what happens when you have access, money, power, and privilege. This is what you get. Okay, this is what you get. Now, are y'all ready for the comeback? Because it's coming. Okay, it's coming. Hollywood loves to rinse and repeat the same bullshit. So if you see a Two and a Half Men reboot news clip in the coming weeks, know that this was the rollout. Okay, know that this was the rollout. But yeah, these are just my thoughts AKA Charlie Sheen is still the same old Charlie Sheen. All right. Now, if you got to this video, hit me with some stars in the chat. Hit me with some purple hearts. Make sure you hit that like, you subscribe. We're going to wrap it up, and I will see you in the next one.